welcome back. Today we're having chicken pho made from scratch. So grab your spoons, grab your forks, grab your chopsticks, and let's get started. I'm so excited. I haven't had pho in a really long time. Let me do some lime up in here. Okay, I'm gonna do hoisin sauce. Sriracha. So in our area, there have been sightings of coyotes, and you guys have seen my dog, Lucy. She's a little dog. I mean, she's 14 pounds. So it makes me nervous every time she goes outside. I don't want her to get taken away by a coyote. How scary. Let's mix this in. Today I want to talk about when my daughter was born and where she was born, and kind of the struggles that I went through, because I transitioned from being a working single bachelorette to being married and having a baby and moving to a different state, all within a matter of less than a year, I would say. Oh, I have this coconut bai. This is one of my favorite drinks because bai is so good. And my favorite flavor is the coconut lime, but this one's just the plain coconut. Okay, let me take my first bite. I'm gonna try the soup first. Okay, now this is what I'm talking about. I love a lot of bean sprouts in my pho. So I'm gonna push that to the bottom so it can get a little bit soft in the soup. And my favorite kind of noodles for pho are the thicker ones. There used to be this place in Chicago called Pho, F-U-H, in Lincoln Park. And they had kind of like a cafeteria style where you would just go down the line and tell them what kind of broth you wanted, what kind of noodles, what kind of meat, and vegetables. And they would just put it together right there for you. And they had these thick noodles there. It was my favorite, one of my favorite pho places. And they went out of business. I'm so sad. But I buy these thick noodles now and I love it. I also put some vegetables in my chicken pho, like baby bok choy and mushrooms. So, I got pregnant with my daughter. I was living in Atlanta, Georgia. And at the time, I had no plans to leave, but when I found out I was pregnant, my fiance at the time was in the process of taking another job in Florida. So after we got married, he took the job and I had no choice but to quit my job and go with him. I mean, it was, when did we move? Let's see, we moved in November. I was 6 months pregnant when we moved from Georgia to Florida. So I had to find a new OB and a new hospital that I was gonna give birth at. It was a lot to do being 6 months pregnant and trying to get moved in and stuff. So I gave birth to my daughter in Boca Raton, Florida. At Boca Raton Regional Hospital. And you guys will understand why I'm not with my daughter's dad anymore. Just by hearing about my experience at the hospital. So, his parents were visiting at the time, and he is from Europe, so his parents came from Europe to visit. And of course, they didn't just want to sit around and do nothing. They wanted to explore. It's like a new place that they'd never been to. So I remember that day, we went down to Miami and down to Miami Beach so they could hang out and see what it was like. And we didn't spend that long at the beach, but Miami was a 45-minute drive from where we lived. So I was almost 9 months pregnant. And so we hung out down there, and it's pretty crazy. Everybody's drinking and naked, and just, it's a party lifestyle. Not a place that a 9-month pregnant woman needs to be. Anyway, put on my big girl pants, and we hung out down there, strolled down there, had lunch. And that evening when we got home, I felt this terrible pain in my stomach, but I didn't think anything of it. I just laid down, and we were watching TV, and then all of a sudden I felt kind of like a pop in my belly, and I ran to the bathroom to check, and it was just a little bit bloody. From there, I started getting contractions almost immediately. And I think it's called like your mucus plug is what popped and came out. And I had an app to monitor my contractions, so to make sure they were happening regularly and enough for us to go to the hospital. So I was monitoring it and called my OB, and we stayed at home for a good few hours. I would say a good 3 hours. And then we went to the hospital. We arrived at the hospital around 9 p.m. And something I really remember is that my husband at the time dropped me off. I walked in. There was a security guard there. And he said, "How can I help you?" And I said, "I'm going into labor." And at that time, the contractions were really close together that I was in pain. And when I'm in pain, I don't talk. Like, my mom told me since I was young, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. I'm that kind of person. When I'm mad, it's hard for me to talk. So I was mostly silent, but I could get out the fact that I was in labor. Okay, so the security guard has me sit down, and he gets on the computer. Okay, I'm gonna need all your information. I hand him my driver's license because I can't talk. I'm in pain. I'm having contractions like every 2 or 3 minutes. And at this time, my husband's parking the car. And the security guard is constantly asking questions like, "What's your name?" It's like, you have my driver's license. Can't you see that? What's your date of birth? You have my driver's license, please. Please just find out the info because I can't even talk. So after and labor is no joke. I mean, that kind of pain is excruciating. It's the worst pain of your life. So after maybe the 5th question, which he could have answered on his own because he had my driver's license, I finally said, I'm in labor. I'm in so much pain. I can't even talk right now. And he just was silent after that and said, okay, let me just take you upstairs. I mean, come on. So I'm in labor. Oh my gosh. So what? I said 9 o'clock that we got to the hospital. I didn't have my daughter until 5 o'clock that morning, and I had to have an emergency C-section. I tried to push, did everything that I could. I was fully dilated. I ran out of energy. I mean, we had a full day of walking around Miami all day long. And it was already, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I was exhausted. I got no sleep. I had a full long day with no naps, and it was just a terrible time. And it set me up terribly to go into labor and trying to have my daughter naturally. So the next morning, maybe at 9 o'clock, keep in mind we've been up this whole time. At 9 o'clock in the morning, my husband decides that he's gonna go to work. I mean, that is just absolutely asinine. He was, 6'4", so he didn't want to sleep on the couch. And we didn't even get any sleep that night anyway, but I cannot believe I told him I didn't want him to go, but he still left me there right after we had our baby to go to work. I mean, I can't even imagine what the people at work said to him. Like, your wife just had a baby and you're here at work? Are you kidding me right now? I mean, I was pissed. I was really pissed. Because my family lived in Michigan at the time, and it wasn't even close to, or it was 2 weeks before my due date. So I bought tickets for my parents to come and visit us so they could help me take care of my first baby after I had her and get me acclimated to mom life. So I tried to get their ticket as close to my due date as possible. I mean, because they were already going to have to stay 2 to 3 months after the birth, so I didn't want them there any longer than they had to be, because my dad wasn't retired yet and he was working, and my husband's parents were in town at the same time, so it was just too many people in the house at once. So here I am at the hospital in a city and state that we only lived in for a few months. Pretty much because I had my daughter early at 38 weeks instead of 40 weeks, no one came to see me in the hospital. So not only had my life been flipped upside down, but nobody was really there for me. It was actually quite sad. And after you have a baby, your hormones go crazy, and it's just such a transitional phase, I guess. That I was super emotional. I mean, because I had a C-section, I had to stay in the hospital a little bit longer. And I had 0 visitors. And I mean, of course, his parents came one time, and he came back after work, but he pretty much didn't stay with me at the hospital for the 3 days that I was there. I mean, he went to work. How crazy is that? And who does that? I mean, he was a VP at the time, so I kind of understand, and he just had started, so I kind of understand his mentality, which was, how can I expect my team to come into work if I'm not there? But you just had a baby. I mean, it's not like it's just like you being sick or anything else. I mean, you just had a baby. I think they're gonna understand. So here I was alone in the hospital with this tiny baby, and I couldn't even enjoy it because I really felt alone and like I had no support. I mean, my parents regularly FaceTimed me, but that's not like being there in person, you know? So it was quite traumatic and hard for me when I had my first baby. And I don't know, it makes me really sad to talk about, and I'm not even really sure that I've talked about it a lot, but that whole experience wasn't joyful for me at all, and it makes me really sad to say that, because it should have been. I mean, it's an exciting time to bring somebody into the world and start your life with them, and just having a baby is exciting, and it just wasn't for me. I felt really alone and isolated. I am, however, grateful that my parents were able to come 2 weeks later. And my dad stayed for a good 2 weeks, and my mom stayed for almost 3 months to help me out. I mean, my sister had babies before me, but taking care of your niece and your nephew is nothing like being responsible for your own baby. So, if it weren't for my mom, I'm not even sure I could have done it all on my own. And being in Florida, I didn't know anyone and I couldn't make any friends because we had just moved there and I was pregnant. Like, where are you gonna meet friends being pregnant? You're not gonna be at the bar. You're not gonna be, you know, somewhere social to meet and make new friends. So I was alone. And I'm so grateful that I had my dog, Wedgie, at the time, because he really kept me company and kept me sane. I really should have started doing YouTube back then. I just was trying to explore and get to know Florida, enjoy the weather, go to the beach. I really miss living there. But I'm glad I don't live there now. I feel like it would just bring back difficult memories. I spent a lot of time alone with my dog before my daughter was born. So once I had my daughter and my parents were there, it was so nice to have them around, to hang out with and to do things with. My siblings and their kids came down for their spring break, so that was nice. I don't know if you can see her, but Lucy's sitting right here next to me. It was a sad time. It was a hard recovery after having a C-section. I couldn't drive. I couldn't do a lot of things, but I still did them because I had to. I mean, I was pretty much alone during the day, all day, every day. So actually my incision ended up getting infected because I was lifting stuff I wasn't supposed to be lifting. I was driving when I wasn't supposed to be driving. And I had to take medicine, antibiotics and stuff afterwards so the swelling would go down because it got infected. So if you get a C-section, really take care of yourself and really take care of it because it could get bad. Okay, I'm done. That was so good. It's a perfect day to have pho because it's cloudy and it's about to rain today. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed my story, and if you want to share your birth story, I'd love to hear about it in the comments below, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe. Until next time, see you later.